Hey guys, welcome to another Texas Bolt Action battle report. Today we've got a very special battle for you guys. We are going to be taking the Mannerhiem Line scenario out of the Ostfront book and augmenting it to fit in the Italian theater. We're going to be looking at the Gustav line, and I'm playing again today with Tyler Goodflower, and he has brought a Luftwaffe Field Division, which he is going to be trying to hold down this line with. He's insisted that we stick to the rules in the scenario, and he has brought 1,000 points worth of Luftwaffe Field Division troops, and I will be hitting him hard with 3,000 points of Americans. So this is a completely historical scenario that is meant to be kind of uneven, so you can play this if you want, but we're gonna see if the Americans have what it takes to take down these German defenses, which by the way are very, very grisly. So we're going to start by looking at the battlefield. As you can see, we've set up 3 lines of defense. We'll be playing long ways. The Americans will be coming on from this direction, from this little bombed out town back here, and they will be approaching the first line of defense. We've got some trenches, which we've decided are going to be hard cover and down, correct? The bunker is going to be +4 cover, so it will provide a +4 cover bonus against any enemy attacking it. So it really will, the only way to take it out is to assault it. There's another trench right here. We've decided that shell holes are going to be hard cover, and we've got some more hard cover over here in these ruins if Tyler decides to reinforce up there. There's a river in between the first and second lines. We've decided the river will be rough ground, so it is a fordable river. The U.S. infantry can go across it, but there's really only one spot to ford that provides any cover, and that's these rocks right here. The rest, they'll be completely in the open, and they will be under fire from this trench emplacement up here on this hill. There's also an orchard right here. There's a few half-tracks scattered around in the defense here. There's also some men holding down this bit right here. There's another trench emplacement and a wall emplacement. There's also a second bunker right here, which the Americans will have to capture. And then their final objective will be that they have to come around the entrenchments here and capture this bunker up on this hill right there. Sorry, bad filming. Tyler, do you want to go over the defenses and tell us what you have, starting with the first line?
First line, there's a regular medium machine gun in there.
Okay.
There's 2 squads of Luftwaffe inexperienced with 2 Panzerfaust each.
Okay.
1 regular lieutenant.
Okay.
Back here, there is a regular machine gun in the bunker.
Okay.
1 inexperienced mortar. 1 veteran first lieutenant. 10-man squad Luftwaffe Field Division with 3 SMGs, 2 Panzerfaust.
Are they regular?
They're inexperienced as well.
Oh my gosh.
Inexperienced 5-man squad right here. Another inexperienced 6-man squad. A regular heavy howitzer Hummel. Another 5-man squad with 2 Panzerfaust. And 1 regular Stuka Zufus.
Nice. And then what do you have over here in this trench?
That's a spotter.
That's the spotter for the howitzer?
For the
mortar.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll take a look over here at what the Americans are going to be bringing against the Germans today. I've taken 2 platoons. I've taken 1 reinforced platoon and 1 armored platoon, and then I've sort of split them up here so that we can kind of so that they can attack in waves. The first wave is going to be this spear. We've got a couple of reconnaissance elements, an M20 scout car and an M8 Greyhound. I've got an M4 mortar carrier, and 1 M4 Sherman will be aiding these 4 regular squads that will be trying to attack the first line of defense and open up a hole. These men will be, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the M8, that's not the M4 mortar launcher, that's a half-track, just a regular half-track. So these men will be loaded in that half-track. I've got a first lieutenant, regular, 2 regular medium machine gun teams, and 1 regular medium mortar. And if they can open up the hole, that will bring on these reserves, which as you can see are quite a larger force. we'll have, that's the M4 mortar carrier right there. I've got 2 M4A1 Shermans, 1 M10 tank destroyer in winter camouflage. There's going to be a half track carrying a squad of veterans and 2 trucks. One of them will be carrying vets. You can tell they're the vets because they have kind of wintry clothes, because this is taking place in winter of 1944. Winter of 1943. And then there's a truck right here that's going to be carrying some more regulars. We've got an M7 Priest that will be supplying some fire support, and we've got an M2A1 medium howitzer that's going to be towed by this Dodge weapons carrier. So the points are looking pretty stacked in favor of the Americans, but the Germans have some serious defenses laid out. We're going to go ahead and commence this battle, and we will let you know how the preparatory bombardment turns out if the Americans get a preparatory bombardment. Stay tuned. And we are back after an American preparatory bombardment. The Germans didn't know the Americans were going to be attacking today. Now they know, so they're probably running around their trenches getting ready. We put some pins down on men in these trenches. The machine gun inside took a few pins. The officer took a couple pins. Explosions all around. Tyler had set out 2 half tracks that he insisted would be used for aesthetics, and I insisted that he take the half tracks because I just don't know about taking 3,000 points against 1,000 points, but he begrudgingly agreed, and then they were promptly both destroyed by the preparatory bombardment. So there are no half tracks, no German half tracks to assist, but the Stukas Fuse survived, so that's good. Took a few pins in the back here. The what is that called?
Hummel.
The Hummel took a pin, or took 2 pins, and then we also took some pins up here on the front line. So not a whole lot of deaths except for the half tracks, but the Germans are shaking in their jack boots, and the Americans are about to commence the first elements of their attack. So stay tuned, and we will let you know what happens on turn 1. All right, welcome back. So we are, we've just wrapped up with turn 1. The first elements of the American assault have begun. We had a Sherman move up over here on the flank, followed by some infantry, following it very close. One of the first elements on the board were these scout vehicles, followed by their infantry as well. Took some shots at the German lines, but the Germans were using the hidden setup rules, so it was 6s on 6 to hit, so they have not yet been discovered. Tyler was good to put his men on ambush and rally his officers, so they lost most of their pins. Took advantage of this squad not getting hit during the prep bombardment, and opened up fire on with the machine gun on a squad of men that jumped out of their half track. But what I really want to talk about is the devastating nature of the artillery that Tyler launched. So this scout car came on and parked behind here. The officer was standing right behind him, and both of them were hit with rockets from Tyler's Stukas Fuse. So screaming memes started firing off and just knocking out everything in sight. Also landed a direct hit on this squad of men. There was a whole squad of 8 men here that had come on the board, and they are now reduced to 2 men. passed their orders test, but are severely under strength right now. This half track somehow managed to miss getting hit. Its men hopped out, but as soon as they got out in the open, they received machine gun fire from this bunker over here, and it whittled them down to a squad of 4 men. So the Americans are already taking heavy casualties just in this first wave. Machine gun came over here, is going to try and get around on the flank. We have a mortar that has deployed in the back of these ruins. We've got more elements of infantry, and we have this machine gun here getting ready to open up fire on Tyler's men. So going over here to the German side, not a whole lot of activity in the rear except for the heavy artillery. Stukas obviously scoring some massive hits. The Hummel fired on the Sherman but missed, so it's ranging in at the moment. And Tyler took this time to get his rear forces to try and rally and try to lose some pins. Looks like some of them failed their orders tests, so still trying to get those inexperienced Germans whipped into shape. So we're going to go ahead and play turn 2. I think the Americans are going to need a lot more assets than what they came on the table with. By the way, one thing we didn't mention is that this scenario is actually designed to go for 10 turns, so I don't know if it's going to end up going for 10 turns or not. If Tyler gets too many more of those Nebelwerfer hits, then probably not, but we'll see. And we will let you know what happens in turn 2, so stay tuned. So welcome back. We just got finished with turn 2, and I gotta say I'm starting to think that the Americans are gonna have a lot more trouble than they initially thought taking these 3 lines of defense. As you can see over here, Tyler has already gotten so confident at how the first line is holding that he has started moving up inexperienced Luftwaffe troops to man the front lines. Most of the damage has been done by way of artillery, which has just been brutal. I don't understand how the Stukas has gotten so many 6s. It's just gotten so many hits. So let's talk about what we had happen here. We had another Stukas rocket attack come in and hit this infantry squad. They went to ground, which halved the hits, but they still lost 3 men and took 3 pins. And it also blew up the other scout cars. So both recon elements are down and in flames right now. As we remember, the lieutenant was killed on the very first turn, so this attack has already gotten off to a bad start. The Hummel took a shot at the Sherman and missed. The Sherman moved up a little ways, took some shots at the trench, were unable to kill anyone. This squad advanced across the field. They received machine gun fire from 2 bunkers, this one and the bunker across the river. So they took 2 casualties, took 2 pins, so they're in bad shape. The mortar has tried to fire, but missed. The Americans have brought on a towed M2A1 medium howitzer, thinking that maybe they'll be able to direct fire at the bunker and knock it out, but that remains to be seen. We also had some more elements come on the board. We had a priest show up and take a direct hit with a mortar that failed to penetrate the top armor. So everyone inside was just rattled, and we took 3 pins. We also had a M4 mortar carrier come on, take some shots at the infantry in the bunkers, and also missed. One thing that did manage to happen is the Americans managed to gain a toehold on this hill. So the infantry came up here, took some shots, managed to kill all but 2 men in this bunker who still remain on ambush. We also moved up the machine gun. We have a truck that's shown up with some reinforcements, some regular reinforcements, so they will be reinforcing this flank. There's a spotter on the hill who can now direct fire from from the howitzers. So it's not all doom and gloom, but the Shermans that were supposed to show up on turn 2 failed to come on, so they are now off the board. And then it was decided that we should probably also leave other elements off the board while the rockets were flying around everywhere. So, bad news for the Americans. Over here, Tyler has taken this time to rally his men, get them all unpinned. Even the Hummel now is in full force. And like I said, he's already started moving some elements to start crossing the river to begin reinforcing the lines up on the other side of the river. So that was turn 2. I can't believe it's only turn 2 and this has happened. We're gonna try and get more American elements on the board. The mortar is currently ranged in on the priest, so if the mortar pulls the first die, I assume the priest is probably gonna be knocked out. So that's gonna be a big swath of the Americans' armor that has already been taken out without even really getting to do any damage. So stick around for turn 3 and we will be right back. Okay, so we just wrapped up turn 3 and got a few more American assets to come on, not as many as I would like. And just due to some insane naval warfare and artillery rolling, the Americans have just been taking a pummeling from the German artillery. Starting back here with this squad that took yet another naval warfare hit. They went down, but they were reduced to 3 men, and as you can see, they are completely pinned. We also had a squad over here that managed to move up, jump out of this truck, move up into the ruins, and they were planning to take shots at the Germans across the river, but they were out of range, and they attracted the attention of the Hummel, which brought down its fury on top of them and completely wiped them out. So they're gone as well. The Americans are already down, like, I think that's 2 squads that they're down. But we did have the regulars manage to move up into the trench and assault the squad and take it. The officers jumped into the trench, took some point blank shots at the regulars, but they managed to whittle them down to 2. And then we had a truck full of veterans come onto the board along with with this supporting tank and assault the trench and take the officers. So the Americans now have a shaky toehold on the first line of defense. There's still a trench full of Germans over here, but we're knocking at the back door of the bunker. We had 2 Shermans take shots at the bunker. This Sherman right here, and this Sherman that came on the flank, and managed to pin the men inside the bunker. Remember that in version 2, HE shells fired at bunkers cannot damage; they can only pin. So we're putting the heat on them. This squad began taking fire from the bunker across the river, so they lost another man and were forced to go down. We have not been able to really get much of an assault launch on this trench line over here. Meanwhile, over here, the howitzer has begun firing at the Hummel, trying to take it out. It missed the shot, so it needs a 5 on the next turn. The priest managed to get out from under the mortar, pass its orders test and move. It took some shots at the Stukas Fuse over here and unfortunately missed. So right now we've just got the remnants of these American assets moving up. We still have another half-track waiting to come on with a load of veterans and a M10 tank destroyer that has still not made it onto the field. So we're starting to approach the first line of defense on turn 3. But the Germans still have their brutal assets. The narrow shape of the board means that the Americans have to bunch up, so the Stukas Fuse always has a clump of targets to fire at, and Tyler has been rolling those 6s very hotly. So, we will go ahead and play turn 4, and we will get back to you and let you know what happened. Stay tuned. So we're back after turn 4, and as you can see, the plumes of smoke on this side of the field indicate that there were more naval warfare hits, or Stukas Fuse hits, same sort of thing. Tyler pulled the first die, launched an attack on this tank. managed to hit the tank and the truck, pinning both of them, but penetrating neither. So we have this explosion off to the side to demonstrate the pinning effects. Tyler decided to take this group of infantry out of the trench and assault the veterans that were over here. He was ground down to one German, so I'm surprised that German hasn't surrendered yet. He managed to keep his morale together, but he has a whole column of U.S. armor driving around him. So I think it's just an officer. So he's basically he's just waiting to be picked up. Hopefully he won't fire his rifle and cause any trouble. As you can see, the veterans did assault this bunker. So we've taken the first objective, the first bunker. And then we used the rest of our assets to move up along the first line of defense. So there is now a U.S. presence on the first line. That, in turn, caused Tyler to pull back his infantry all the way back to this trench. So he is now anticipating the second wave of the American assault. The Hummel was finally taken out in grand fashion by a long, faraway shot from this tank destroyer that came up the side of the table and took a well-placed shot on the side armor of the Hummel. So no more heavy artillery, but we still have a Stuka out there raining down pure hell. The howitzer has hooked on to the back of this truck again, so we're hoping to redeploy it sometime this turn. We've moved all of these assets up over here and have taken some shots across the river, done very little damage. But Tyler has moved a squad of infantry up the side here past the ruined half-track, hoping to get up on this ledge and start firing some Panzerfausts over here, no doubt. We'll see if they have the range. I took the lull to reposition machine guns. We have one positioned over there, one's coming up on the left flank. We rallied the squads that were down to nothing and moved them up, so they are now repositioned. We tried to rally the squad back here that suffered so many hits from the Nebelwerfer, and they are they're down to 3 pins, but it's not looking too good for them. This half-track is going to reposition because I don't think he can cross this trench line, being a partly wheeled vehicle. I have another half-track full of veterans moving up to reinforce the right flank. So we've got a pretty solid looking defense, but there's still that extreme screaming Mimi fire that's coming down, and it's still going to be a hard slog for the Americans. So we're going to go ahead and get to it. We're going to play turn 5, and then we will let you know how that went. So stick around. All right, we're back after turn 5. The Americans have begun their assault, so we have started moving troops across the river. The vets moved out of their bunker and rolled up here and took some shots at the guys behind this wall. Managed to hit them, but they returned fire, and their officer also came up and took some shots and managed to whittle the vets down to a 4-man unit. This squad was fired on by fire from across the river from that bunker. They ended up going down, so hopefully they will be able to crest on their next turn. We have tanks rolling up, taking shots. This Sherman bounced a shot off of the Stuka and stunned the crew, so it was unable to fire this turn. So with the Hummel down and the Stuka stunned, we were able to kind of get some stuff going. Rallied the tank and this truck so that they could be used for the next turn. We sent this 2-man squad to take care of that officer that was standing there, and he did so. So they will hopefully be joining the assault soon. We have 2 tanks ready to go that will be covering the assault. The gun was redeployed to this hill with its tow. We also have the mortar set up on that hill now, covering the crossing. So hopefully we have some support for the Americans from the armor. On the right flank, the veterans hopped out of their half-track, started going. We have another 2-man team that's began running across the river. With fire from these various MGs on these vehicles and this MG team, we were able to whittle this Luftwaffe squad down to 2 men. So they're still hanging out back there. Tyler rallied or took a little bit of fire with this squad, but they're still intact. We still have this inexperienced squad intact, and this one is still at medium strength. So it's still looking like Tyler's got a lot more infantry that the Americans are going to have to deal with. It will probably end up being up to the armor to take out some of these squads, so we'll have to see if that's something that can happen. So we're going to go ahead and finish the turn. One more things, or a couple more things. The priest fired at this squad over here indirectly and is now ranged in at a 5, as well as this mortar team. They fired at this squad back here and are now ranged in at a 2. Okay, wow. So it will we'll hopefully have some. Oh, actually, yeah, because they took I forgot that they scored a hit on them and managed to pin them, and also took a man out. So still looking pretty good for the Americans. Hopefully we can cross the river and take the line. I'm told that we have to capture all 3 bunkers to win. So that was turn 5. We are midway through the game and we are midway across the river. So we will go ahead and play this next turn and let you know how it turned out. Stick around.
Make sure it's a red circle.
All right, welcome back. That was the end of turn 6, right? It's just so many turns that I can't really remember. Also, this game is getting intense. So if you'll take a look over here, you'll see that one of the Shermans across the river, coming across the trench, managed to score a hit on the Stukas Diffuse, so it is now down. So Tyler's artillery assets, except for his mortar, are now taken out completely. The infantry squad over here failed their morale test and had to go down in the river and took a lot of fire. So their attack has stalled, but the other infantry squad jumped over the trench and moved into the river. Tyler decided to make a daring move from behind his defenses with his inexperienced squad, run up here and attack the Sherman tank. He bounced a shell off the front, but failed to penetrate, didn't do anything but stun the crew. So the tank took some pins, went down, and we now have some more assets moving across the river. The M10 Wolverine is coming across. Also, that half track, let's talk about it for a second. Basically, we had the infantry squad back here. They managed to move because they lost all their pins in the last turn. They loaded up in the half track, and they are now in it and headed across the river to join the assault. So we finally got that unit going. The squad that jumped out here with the Panzerfaust was cut down by machine gun fire from this shell hole. So both of these tanks were focused on firing at the Stukas Diffuse, finally taking it down. The mortar got another shell on the back trench back there, so we took out another man, pinned him again. We were able to rake this squad with machine gun fire and pin them pretty hard and reduce them to 2 men. So they are down right now, and they're currently awaiting the inevitable onslaught of the veterans on this flank. Priest fired at Tyler's middle squad. Earlier on, they were taking some fire from this machine gun across the river. They took a casualty, and they took their green test and became regular. So they are now a regular squad. The priest missed, as did the mortar. Actually, the mortar fired at Tyler's mortar. There's just so many units, it's hard to keep track. So the Americans are now moving across the river in a little bit more force. They don't have to worry quite so much about rocket fire and withering heavy artillery fire. They left a trail of black columns coming out of their destroyed vehicles, but they finally got themselves together and they're starting to make their attack. The trucks have moved around. They're coming around to this side where they can actually ford the river. Remember, wheeled vehicles cannot cross obstacles, so that's what's keeping them from going up with the infantry. hopefully on this next turn we can get some armor moved up and begin focusing on the other bunkers. We only have 4 more turns to take out these bunkers over here. So we're going to go ahead and start the next turn pretty quickly because it's getting kind of late, and we'll let you know what happened. Take care. Okay, so we just wrapped up turn 7, and the United States is crossing the river with its armored vehicles. They finally brought all of their mighty American steel to bear on the Germans. The Germans, in a interesting but possibly smart move, have pulled back from their defenses. So Tyler has ordered this mortar to run back along with the officer. This team has also pulled back, and I can only assume they're headed for this bunker over here. We have a team over here that has gone down each time that it's tried to rally. We also have still have a team in the bunker covering the retreat.
And you assaulted it.
Yeah, the bunker, let's go over there and talk about that. So the bunker was rolled up on by this half track. It had 3 men in it, and they jumped out and assaulted it, and all of them were wiped out. The Germans must have been covering the door. If we can take a brief moment to remember their story, those men were all the way back there. They saw their transport completely blown up, and they were hit twice by naval warfare fire. They saw their first lieutenant get shredded, but they finally got it together. They hopped in a half track that was headed for the front, and they made it up here, and this was their final resting place. So God rest those poor men. Meanwhile, the American assault is in full force. Tanks moved up, put shots on the bunker, pinned the men manning the machine guns in there. This squad could not pass its rally test. They got cold feet and they foobarred, and so they ran all the way back to their trench, which is a shame because those are the men we need in the assault. But we've got some trucks up here that might be able to give them a lift, so we're hoping for that in the coming turns. Mortars and guns. So the mortar fired at the squad in the trench back there. Got a hit, another death, another pin. The medium howitzer did not hit its target of the mortar crew over there. So, but it's ranged in at a 5 now. So we'll see what happens. The priest scored a direct hit also on the bunker, killed 2 more men. So that squad is pinned again. They're actually pinned all the way down to 7. So if they take 1 more pin, they're out of the game. And that priest is ranged in. So we hope we can do that. We have vets and regulars and just little bits of squads moving up over here in the rocks, hoping to overrun this bunker, but they still have a very long way to go. I think they've got to go all the way through this orchard and around and up this road. So it'll be very interesting to see if that's even a possibility before the end of the game. There's only 3 more turns remaining, possibly 1 more at the end of this. So we will play turn 8 and we will get back to you. This has been a very exciting game, also a very exhausting one. The artillery has just been insane. So we will let you know how it goes after this. All right, we're back after this grueling turn 8. The Americans have crossed over the river. The Germans have pulled even further back. We were unable to get any squads over to the bunker this turn, but we have 1 2-man, what's left of a squad right there. We've got a 4-man squad in the back of this truck, so we're hoping that we can assault that bunker on this turn and take it. We've got a spearhead of armor moving up the middle. As far as there weren't really a whole lot of casualties. The Americans lost 1 machine gun team in the river that fell under the fire from the bunker. The priest and the mortar both landed shots on the trench, further eliminating, got them down to 1 man. So there's 1 man left in that trench, and he's pinned pretty hard. The regulars have pulled back to right here. They took some shots from the Americans coming through the woods. I mean, what we have here is a scene out of like World of War or something, or World at War or something. I mean, this is just utter chaos. We've got, you know, German officers running around shouting orders. There's these guys back at the truck trying to figure out what's going on. The Americans are just coming over the sides here. So we've got a really frantic retreat here. The mortar has taken shots, or taken fire, and took a few pins. They're now down to, well, I guess they've just taken one pin. They still have 2 men. There's a squad here that's down to 2 men. I think that's all that we have left. I think it's a race right now to get to this bunker to try and keep the Americans from taking it before they do. Meanwhile, we've got tanks coming around the sides of this bunker. We pinned the bunker with the tank destroyer and managed to rattle the crew inside again. This half track is coming around the flank, so I imagine there's going to be shots fired at him on the next turn. In the rear, we have this Dodge weapons carrier even joining the fight. I'm hoping that maybe he might be able to maybe pick up a few people or something to take him on the last legs of this game. So we have 2 more turns. There's 2 more turns left for the Americans to reach this bunker. So it's all coming down to that. And the Germans, for the most part, have been shattered, but they still might be able to get back to the bunker, and the Americans still might not be able to assault it and with enough men to take it out. So we will go ahead and play this next little bit, and we'll get back to you. So stay tuned. All right, so we're back after turn 9, and I think we are probably going to have to go ahead and call it after this. The Germans on this side, the officer was assaulted by these vets. We had these vets pull up, and on a 6-on-6, they took out the last remaining German over here. The only Germans left on the table after the priest took out the guy in the trench over here is this mortar team. So that mortar team could conceivably take the position and hold it, but we've decided that the odds of him being able to hold that are too high, so that would probably fall to the Americans. We're going to go ahead and call it there. And over here, we managed to have the machine gun fired on the truck, tried to fire on the truck, but they did not pass their orders test, so they went down. So we had the 4 men, the 4 regulars that had been in that trench. We had them attack the rear of the bunker or assault it, and 1 man managed to make it into the bunker. So we're holding 2, and we would be likely to take out the 3rd one. So that's going to be the game. The American armor was just too strong. I gotta be honest though, when Tyler told me that he wanted me to bring 3,000 points worth of US against his 1,000 points of Germans, I was very skeptical, but he managed to kill a lot of us. Those naval warfare attacks were brutal. So we're gonna take our hats off to those poor brave men that were involved in this assault. We hope you enjoyed this battle report. Be sure to check out our Facebook page, Texas Bolt Action, and feel free to subscribe to these videos. We're hoping to do more. I'm sorry this one's so late. We've been moving, life's been happening, but we'll keep trying to turn these out. So thanks for watching, guys, and we hope to see you soon. Take care.